Official stream. Let's go. So we're going to be doing a quick. We're at 0 viewers, so we are starting new. We're going to be going crazy. We're going to be having fun. So give me a second. Just trying to make sure I'm fully connected to the YouTube server. So. Okay, we're officially on the stream. When we get 1 viewer, we will get started. Let's go. Okay, we're gonna get started. If people don't watch it, that's completely my fault. So that's not anything to freak out about. But we're gonna get started with the live stream. I hope everything is Gucci. I'm gonna do it more like this. Let's go. 2 minutes and 48 seconds and counting. All right. I'm just gonna start now. We're just gonna see whoever comes. We'll let them know, and we're gonna start them to get well with the show. Here, let me just change the title. Kamen Rider Dragon Knight Riders ranking. Let's go. All right, we should be updated. It should just be known as Kamen Rider Dragon Knight Riders ranking. And we got 1 viewer in the chat. What's up, fella? You know what I mean? And then once we do that, we're gonna get started. So. All right, we're gonna start. These are the writers. I'm gonna go full screen on this bad boy, so give me a quick sec. Okay. If you guys have any comments, if you guys got anything you want to make, we'll get started. If not, then we will get ready for the show. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, the thing that I'm gonna do is that we're gonna be going over each of the writers, and we're gonna be talking about just some reasons why. So obviously we got 5 levels here. We got S, superior, best ranking. That's self-explanatory. A, I consider a little more of the awesome range. Like for example, someone who might have been a very like well thought of character, but they didn't have enough time in the show. Or B, they had a lot of great time on the show, but they didn't have to see much development compared to the S characters. B, this is more of the, I don't want to say the average because that's more of a C, but if you wanted to put this in a word, this would be more of a person who has put some development in the show and they have at least brought some interest into the plot. But the thing is that they didn't either A, have enough time again to be in the show for long compared to A and S characters, or B, they just didn't provide enough growth to the show throughout the whole series. I guess there's only been 40 episodes, so I don't know if you could call that one season, etc. There was supposed to be a second season for Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, but that never happened. So that's completely up to the person at hand. Just to put this in perspective, I just want to explain that this is my list again. I did a practice stream, etc., but this is my stream. These are the people who I think belong on the list. This is not no directing from Steve Wang or Michael Wang or anybody. This is directly from me. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. If not, we're going to get started. So the first person that we are going to do for sure, like 100% for sure, is we got to start off with the Mary. So the Mary is this. We are going to put Kit Taylor. Now, before we continue, the people who are on this list. Oh, we got a viewer. What's up? I see you in the chat. So what I want you to do, you can just say who you are and just who's your favorite Kamen Rider. My favorite Kamen Rider is Onyx by far. There's a little bit of delay, so if you see that I'm speaking from a little bit of a delay, I'm reading the live chat as we go. So don't think I'm trying to ignore you, but we're going to get started. So we are going to give up quick disclaimers. The writers who I'm going to be talking about are going to be the ones that were in the show for the longest. So, for example, I'm not going to bring up any Bentaran writers. The only Bentaran writers that I'm going to bring up are Len, Case, and Adam. Now, the reason why I'm only bringing up Len, Case, and Adam is because Len and Case were the only people who had their Kamen Rider armor for a significant portion for the show. Obviously, there was Maya for Siren, but I felt like that wasn't enough to provide a key development. And two, the reason why I'm putting Adam in here is because although Kit was the one with the Dragon Knight armor, Adam did play a significant role throughout the last fourth of the show. Well, give or take, the last 8 episodes. But yeah, we're going to get started right away. And whoever this person is, I hope you enjoyed the video. But before we get started, we're just gonna give up some disclaimers again. This is 100% me. I know I'm saying that multiple times, but there's people that are coming in, and I hope you guys just enjoy it. So we're gonna start off with number 1. Oh, by one more thing. The reason why I have 2 Dragon Knights on here is because we're comparing Kit and Adam, and this might seem a little controversial, so I apologize. But I'm giving the regular suit or the base suit to Kit. I'm giving the survive mode to Adam, and the only reason why I'm doing that is because in the show, Kit really used the base mode. He only used survive mode once, and Adam, he used survive mode basically every episode that he was a Kamen Rider. So we got to give or takes. And I'm also going to be explaining a couple things that I liked about the character and a couple things that I didn't like, including plot holes, development, armor, everything like that. Now, I did watch Kamen Rider Ryuki, so If I do compare some things between the shows, don't think I'm trying to influence you guys. And obviously, last but not least, spoilers are ahead. So like, comment, and share. And we're going to get started. So number one, we're going to put Kit Taylor. So Kit Taylor, this is going to seem like a biased opinion, but he is a guaranteed S. And the reason why I put a guaranteed S is because, and this was something that I knew from the beginning. Like, if there was an S character, it had to be Kit Taylor. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if Joe Mama's in the room. I'm probably like, no. But on a real note, Kit Taylor's an S character. And the only reason why I say he's a guaranteed S character is because his character development throughout the show was phenomenal. He went from somebody who was a thief, who had criminal records, who was a foster child, to the only Earth Kamen Rider that was able to keep his position after the war with Xavier. So I thought that was a very key point. Another thing that I loved about Kit was his development. I know I said that a little bit earlier, but to put in some key moments, he had to go from somebody who didn't know anything, whose dad was missing, to somebody who had to actually become a Kamen Rider. He went against what Len said because he thought he was listening to his dad, which was Xavier. Then he went against Len because he was manipulated by Drew. And then he realized that the only way how he could save his dad at short term was to to work for Xavier. Oh, we got another person in the chat. What's up? Just comment down below. What's your Kamen Rider, etc. We're starting off with Kit Taylor. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. But the thing I was just going to explain was that Kit Taylor was the best character throughout the whole series. Now, obviously, there are some key favorites. Len. A lot of people loved Len. A lot of people liked Adam, I guess, JTC, etc. But Kit Taylor was definitely an S. I don't care what anybody says. A couple key moments, too. When he got vented, he knew. I personally think he thought he was going to get vented at some point. You know what I mean? Also, his remorse. One thing that a lot of people forget about Kit Taylor is, and you guys can comment this down below, I felt like his morals were shaky and they grew stronger by the season. And what I mean by that is that his first goal was to just try to find his dad. Then later on, he found out that Xavier had his dad. And then later he found out that he was spared by the Riders, and then he felt like he owed Xavier. You know what I mean? And right after he found that out, he had the dream about venting Wing Knight in case, but then he also had the memento of his dad saying, like, you have to do the things that are right. So he realized that the only way how he can truly save his dad, both from like his eternal, like, I don't know what you say, from regaining his life energy, and on top of that, becoming an actual like good son to him, having that good relationship, was to actually do the right thing and to beat Xavier. So I feel like that was a key, like, climax point, key turning point, plot twist throughout the whole season, and especially him as Adam. Not him as Adam, him as Onyx. That's the reason why I have Onyx here too. I'm doing Kit's role both as Dragonite and as Onyx. So I know that seems a little bit confusing, but you guys will understand it later. But as a whole, Kit Taylor's an easy S tier character. Now, my goal was to do it based off each character, but since we already have this list like this, I'm just going to go off just the people in this category. So next we're going to do Camo, and then after that, if you guys have any comments, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If you guys have something that I forget in the comments, talk about that too. Let's get this started. And don't forget to use the live chat. I'm looking at it as we speak. So if you see something, I'm going to guarantee to be delayed like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, but I'll do my best. Number 2, we got Camo. Now, Camo, I'm not going to lie. By the way, before you guys started, you guys know that this is an American adaptation, Kamen Rider Ryuki. Kido Shinji, I would have gave him an S tier too. His development throughout the show was insane, and I just loved his growth. You know what I mean? And the thing that I love about Kit, one last thing, is that even though he invented a Kamen Rider, his morals were also in play too. Like whether avenging Chris was really worth venting Albert. So, yeah. Number 2, we got Camo. Camo Grant, I'm not gonna lie, Grant didn't have any development in this show. That's one. I felt like his origins for cheating weren't really there. I understand that a lot of people love the Kamen Rider Camo suit, and I love it too. Kamen Rider Verde was great, although he only had like 45 minutes of screen time max. Grant was actually about the same. He was 2 episodes. He got vented by Torque. And to be honest, he didn't provide a lot of growth in this show. Now, granted, Van, which was the Van Taran Kamen Rider, he was in the show for like the last like 5 minutes of 39. Like, you know what I mean? But the thing is that he didn't provide a lot of development. He didn't really bring up any key factors. He didn't really change anything. He just was there for 1 episode, then to the next. So I'm personally going to put him at a D tier. Now, if it was what was his name? Takawaza, is that the name of the Japanese writer? I would have put him at a C, and the only reason why I would have put him one spot higher was because he actually showed the true intentions of the Rider War. If I'm going to be 100% honest, he was the only person in the Ryuki Rider War that had the intentions that Kanzaki Shiro or Shiro Kanzaki, if we're going to speak in English, wanted, and that's just to fight for power. That's really all he wanted, and that's why I would have put him at a C tier, because he didn't provide any development or anything, but I just like putting that character in there. I feel like that was key. But here, he didn't provide any key plots in the show. His name was only mentioned like 4 times within the whole series, so I'm putting him as a D. Costume-wise, I would put him in an A or a B. So, yes. Next, JTC. Now, a lot of people love James. A lot of people love Price. This is James, but I will be bringing up a couple things about Price. The plot holes that before we go, plot holes. Plot hole for Kit Taylor. He contracted with the Dragon. I don't know if you guys know this, but in Ryuki, you have to contract with your Advent monster or your Advent beast. So it was obviously footage from Ryuki because they had to show that Ryuki was contracting with this monster. But with Kit, since Adam was the one with the dragon deck before him, he didn't need to contract with this monster. So that was one plot hole with Kit Taylor that I felt like was a little bit annoying, but I know they had to just put in the footage to make it over line, you know? The second plot hole that I felt like that was with Kit Taylor, and this wasn't just with Kit, this was just with a whole bunch of riders, but the motorcycle transformation. I know they made it cool by adding the motorcycles, but I feel like one big problem with putting in the motorcycles is that you didn't have it for every single rider. You only had it for Wing9 and Kit. So I feel like that was unfair for the other riders, because that would have been cool to get like a cool spider motorcycle, a cool snake motorcycle for JTC, and etc. But that's just a couple plot holes. And I'm gonna bring excuse me. I apologize. I'll be bringing in plot holes way later in the show. I'm not way later in the show, way later in my channel in another separate video. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be continuing. We are going to be talking about JTC. Now, JTC is a very interesting character. Background, I would give it an A for, I'll give it like a B plus A minus. I like the idea they put a UFO situation, you know, et cetera. The whole idea of the UFOs when Michelle was talking to Maya saying, you know, the Nomen, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. I like the way how JTC was key, like, you know, underlying link, because he was one of the people who knew the truth, but he didn't accept the offer from the Nomen. I felt like his development was put short because, number one, he wasn't really a key developmental figure, and that is until you knew about him until like episode 13, 14. Yeah, you saw him a couple times. Yeah, you saw his suit, you know, when thrust, you know, etc. But it was one of those things that his key development wasn't really that big in the beginning. I feel like it grew off significantly, like after, you know, thrust was vented. I felt like him just showing his true intentions, you know, the loyalty. That was one big thing with Zabiax. A lot of you know, riders, they didn't show their loyalty to Zabiax. That included Danny, that included Drew, that included Brad, that obviously included Chris, right? But him, he never, you know, defied Zabiax except when he wanted to save Danny. But at the end, he just couldn't take it anymore, so that's why he vented him. A couple cons about JTC that I felt like were a little bit tricky. Number one, he has some significant plot holes. Like, for example, like I wish they showed an episode of him getting the Advent deck instead of just him becoming a Kamen Rider from the beginning, because then I was confused. Then why was Richie or Kamen Rider Incisor chosen before Strike if Strike was already a loyal person? Like, just having that timeline so we can be clear, like, oh, he got JTC because he didn't have you know, he didn't have Incisor. That would have been a key detail. Another key detail for Strike would have been you know, what happened to JTC. I know he was vented by Len because, you know, he vented Case, but that whole idea that, you know, he just wanted to like, you know, fight for power, fight for freedom, even though it didn't make sense that he said there isn't a room I can't walk into when you're under government surveillance, but that's not my business. The only other con I have with JTC is that I felt like his motives were a little bit dull. And what I mean dull is like you want him to have freedom and power, but it's like, yeah, but if you fought with Len and Kit with the Nomen, if granted he was vented by this time, then he would have had that freedom and power again. But again, we don't know, etc. But because the fact that Strike's late development, and because the fact that he was indeed a key figure, he vented Drew, he vented Thrust, he vented Sting, he vented Danny, and he vented Case. He vented 5 riders. Sakura only vented, I think, 4. I mean, killed 4. Remember, in Ryuki, they killed the riders. But I'm putting him in an A tier because I feel like his development was key to the show. He did put a lot of plot holes and plot twists in the shows that a lot of people wouldn't think of. Like, the fact that his brother was in jail, the fact that he would vent Danny, the fact that, he was able to contract all 3 monsters, Thrust and Stings, which is obviously from the Japanese counterpart. But it was just really I'm so sorry. But it was just really interesting to see that as a whole. Comment down below what you guys think about JTC. The only thing that I wish that was with JTC was that I just wish we saw the episode of him getting the deck, and I just wish like there was a scene of him like coming out and etc. And just having that moment. And for Price, I would put Price at a C, not because I don't like Price, but again, he came in episode 32, 33-ish, so he had a little bit of a big delay, and because of that, he just didn't have a key developmental figure. I know he liked Maya, that was because of the fact that JTC and Maya had a little thing that JTC used to manipulate. I also like the fact that JTC was also a key character in Maya's circle, so that he used that as a way to manipulate them. And I thought that was a really smart way to make JTC go well super undercover. And the fact that he was just super subtle, he said, I want to talk to you in person. I don't want to talk over the phone, blah, blah, blah. And these small details that he used, I felt like that was really smart that Michael and Steve Wang put that in there. So it's like there was less plot holes. Now, granted, there are still a couple plot holes in the show, but I think that they were very minimal. Some of them were big, like Kit contracting the Dragon, the Survive Mode cards. But I feel like as a whole, it made complete sense. Now, Yubelon, I put Yubelon as a B. And the only reason why I put Yubelon as a B is because although he was brought up a good couple times in the show, he didn't really provide any significant power or significant plot to the show, except the fact that he allowed Adam to come back. That's 1. And 2, he helped them fight Xaviex and he came back. I wish there should have been an intro episode. It didn't have to be super big, but it should have just been a intro episode of Yubelon and Xaviex fighting. And after fighting, they just called it a day. I felt like that should have been really big. But the biggest problem that we had with Yubelon is that I felt like Yubelon was very short term. I felt like they should have just brought him up as Yubelon instead of, the Advent Master this, the Advent Master that. And but I like though that his origin story of why he fought for the Kamen Riders, I feel like that was a big deal. Comment down below what you guys think about the list so far. I like the way how he brought up, this is why I fought for Ventara. He used to be a Karsh guy. I thought that was cool how he worked for Xaviex before and he became good. That was a key detail that I feel like that was very influential in the whole show. And I like that he was a Karsh guy as well. The only thing I didn't like about him is that number 1, they used both alternative and alternative zero footage, which was from Ryuki. That was the one big deal that I felt like that could have been slipped. But, obviously a lot of people don't pay attention to the nitty-gritty details that separate alternative and alternative zero. Like, for example, alternative zero has stripes, so alternative doesn't. But that's not the point. The point is I feel like he was a B because his development was way late. I felt like there should have been an episode when Len significantly talked about him instead of just bringing up this guy was the leader, there was a leader, blah, blah, blah. I think he should have just told Kit about it. Not obviously straight up, but obviously when he was talking about his dad. You know what I mean? I felt like that episode 7, episode 8, when Drew and Kit were working together, I feel like that would have been a good time to bring that up when Kit was talking about how Xaviex could heal his dad. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But we are going to give him a B for that. If anybody has any questions, comment down below why. But, yep, Incisor, easy D. Incisor was one of the most short-lived characters, and I love that they put in a first person in the show, but I felt like the biggest problem with Incisor was number 1, again, no key development. I wanted to know what happened in his parents at the beginning. Why did Xaviex become the real estate guy or the banker or the lawyer, whatever? I apologize for the frequent yawning because I got to go to work tomorrow. But it's just the whole idea, like, what happened to his parents? Like, it would have been cool if Xavier said, "Oh, your parents this, and we found out that they were actually drained by Xaviex because we never saw them, or Xaviex pretending to be the parent because we realized that he can shapeshift, and him saying, "I don't want you anymore, get out," blah blah blah, and then it's Xaviex coming in and him pretending to be the guy that he was and offer Richie the deck. Number two, I feel like Richie was a little bit of a rich snob, which makes sense. The only reason he started fighting is because he lost everything, his car, his house, everything. And I feel like the biggest problem with Richie was that he didn't really have a big development. All he wanted to do was fight to make money. I know this sounds a little cliche because that's the whole reason why he got in. But maybe if he realized that, there's these fighting superheroes in the mirrors, maybe he would have asked Len or Dragonite what the frick is going on instead of saying 2-on-1, that's cheating. So I felt like he was very self-centered. He didn't really care about the whole Rider War. I understand because, he lost everything, so that's the only thing he did. And I wish that he actually had more, like, civil conversations instead of just fighting Dragonite and Wing Knight or Kit and Len. Because I feel like the biggest problem in the show was that he was very overlooked. He was only in, 3 episodes? Obviously, he was there to show Kit the consequences. And the one big plot hole that I never understood in the show was, why was it that you vented the other riders? Because the riders were actually working together. So that's the one thing that always got me confused. Like, how can they vent each other? Like in Ryuki, you killed each other. So that made sense. That was the whole purpose of the war. But here, the riders were actually supposed to work together against Xavier. So that was something that was really confusing to me. But by the way, I don't know if you guys know, but Incisor was based off a gladiator motif. Dragonite was based off a warrior motif, etc. You guys will see it over time. Like Strike, he has a pharaoh type of style with his like cobra like staff, like Jafar, Kamen Rider Jafar, right? But yeah, that's why I give him a D. What's his name? Makasato or Maxato or whatever, the Japanese counterpart for Kamen Rider Scissors. I would have put him as a D2. He had a very bland thing, fight for power. He killed somebody because someone got in his way. That was that. That was really one of the most bland stories ever. And that's why those Incisors and Scissors would be the only 2 people that would both get a D in my book. Like, there's nothing else, Comment down below what you guys think. Next, we're going to be going over Kit as Onyx. Now, Kit as Onyx is a very interesting guy because at this point, he already came back from the Advent Void. He already reestablished everything with Land, the Ventarian Kamen Riders. I did like a couple of jokes over here, like him thinking Hunt was Danny, so they almost fought. Like, that was a good, twist over there, especially since Hunt didn't like Adam. The only thing I didn't like about Kit with Onyx is that, and I like the fight between him and Adam. But the problem I feel like is that he didn't have a lot of development near the end when he was taken out of the Advent Void. Now, granted, I'm happy he got taken out of the Advent Void because if he didn't, that would have been really sad. But the key thing that made me quite sad was, why was he just a bystanding character, if that makes sense? What I would have liked is that him and Len went back on their fighting trips, kind of like how Len and Adam did, started going back and back. I know the reason why they didn't was because of footage, and they wanted to give more development to Adam and the Ventar and Kamen Riders, but I just felt like that would have been good. But because of Kit's improved skill, I did like his great development in fighting. He was able to fight Adam. He was able to use his powers to defeat Xaviex. And I felt like that was a key momental plot, So I'm going to give Kit with Onyx a B. Onyx is my favorite suit anyway, so I already told Rider Legacy this. Follow him, by the way. But the thing is that I just really like the whole idea of having a dark version of a main character, whether that is, Naruto, Kit Taylor, Goku, etc. Like, you guys know, like, having those dark versions of characters are like a key, like, it's a weak spot for me. I have a soft spot for that. The thing that would have been Kit Taylor S as Onyx, would have been number 1, giving him a survive mode card. I'm just fine. But the key factor would have been just giving him the opportunity to, how can I explain it? Giving him the opportunity to develop more with the Onyx deck. He's just talking more about the origin of the Onyx deck. I feel like the one thing I didn't like about the Onyx deck is that Ubalon said, here's a spare deck. Here you go. And he didn't even have the opportunity to copy it from the Dragonite deck. I think what would have been cool is that he said, yo, there's another Advent monster that is just like the dragon, but he's more rage based. So maybe if you had to contract him, and that would have all connected properly with the whole idea of him having to fight himself, Kit having to fight Commander Onyx in the show back in episode 24. But the reason why I put him as a B is because Kit had to take a lot of fear. He had to overcome a lot of fear to become Commander Onyx, with the whole fears of him venting Len and Case. I like the whole idea that the suit was supposed to represent his remorse, by still fighting with Len and Case, obviously with losing all the powers that he gained in the show. But I thought that it was cool that they were able to incorporate Commander Onyx or Commander Ryuga from Ryuki in the show. I thought it was pretty cool, and I thought the footage that they used for Ryuga fighting both Case and later Len, I thought that footage was phenomenal, especially that it was a dream sequence that I thought it was pretty fabulous for. Not gonna lie, the only thing that confused me is that why was there a dream sequence before the deck was made? But that's none of my business. Comment down below what you guys think. Siren. So Case is a pretty phenomenal character, and that's why I'm giving her an A. I know that I said that pretty quick, but let me explain why. Plot holes with Case. I don't know how her and Len became a couple. There was that 1 year hibernation sequence. They wake up every 12 years. So that didn't make sense. Like, how were they dating? Like, they weren't ever in the same year. Like, that's something that confused me. Another plot hole with Case, and this is something that you can't really blame her for, but like, if she was awake the same time that Len was, what took her a freaking 22, 23 episodes to come? Like, Len came in episode 1, and I know that was for footaging reasons, but like, dang, bro, you could have made up something like she was the Earth Rider, or she was living in Earth, like, as a, as an Earthling or as a U.S. citizen, be undercover until she realized it was safe to fight again, like something like that, like just something subtle, because I feel like that was the biggest problem. She just popped up out of nowhere, and the reason why I don't give her an S is because, number one, she didn't have any key pivotal moments. Yes, she was talking about Adam. Yes, she had to accept the fact that Kit was going to be a writer, but the one biggest problem I had with Case was that she didn't really show any key developmental moments besides forgiving Adam, besides accepting Kit was going to be a Kamen Rider, and the fact that she had them Katara healing powers, which confused the frick out of me. But I don't blame her. She was a very substantial character. She was able to pick up the fight against Zabiax and Strike, even though Strike was what is it called? An Earth Rider. So that was kind of confusing there. That the fact that Len called her one of the best, the second best out of the 12, but she was fighting a human from Earth who was an amateur, but whatever. I guess JTC wasn't an amateur, but Danny was, so, But I give her an A. The only thing that I felt like that was a problem with Case was her development. Again, she came in 23. The reason why a lot of these characters are put down is because they didn't have enough development. But also another thing is just the fact that I felt like she didn't have any key factors to bump her up to Len and Kit. And on top of that, the one thing I just didn't like was the fact that she brought up the whole plot hole with the survive mode cards. So like she only gave Kit and Len survive mode cards, and I understand that was for plot. But if she said there was 12 survive mode cards, why didn't they use them when they fought Zabiax? That was something that confused me, but again, it was overlooked. I don't know if they didn't have enough time to put them in the decks, but they put the link vents in the deck, so we'll see anyway. That's not even the purpose. The purpose is that I just felt like if she had a little bit more development, she would have definitely been an S tier. Now, Spear, Albert, comment down below what your guys' thoughts are, but Albert is definitely a D. The only reason I put Albert as a D is because he didn't provide any plot to the show. Obviously, he helped vent Chris, but he didn't provide any key. He basically did not provide any key development in the show besides making Kit feel bad for venting him. And I know this sounds really jacked up to say, but number one, I love Tony Saho's work as Spear. The problem I had was that he was just basically a douchebag. He called Kit schoolboy for no reason. I don't know why he called him schoolboy. That guy was barely in school, but I don't know. But the whole thing that I just didn't like about Spear, his suit was amazing, by the way, give or take. A lot of people, they have mixed emotions about the Spear suit. I think it was very creative. That's the one reason why I loved Emperor so much. I like Sano. Sano would definitely have a C. No, actually, I'll give him like a B, but barely a B, just because I love Sano-san from Kamen Rider Ryuki. The thing that makes me have put Spear at a D is because number one, he didn't have any key development. He did push Danny, you know what I mean, and he did try to go against AVX morals, but I just felt like he just didn't provide anything besides the fact that he just intentionally didn't like Kit. Like I really don't understand like his development in the show. He was only there for like 3 episodes before he got vented. And I know 3 episodes is like around a tenth of the show, like a little less, like probably like 7.5%. But it's just like I didn't understand why he acted so rude to Kit and stuff, and why he just basically made fun of Chris's name. Like, he was just bragging that he vented a Marine, but again, Chris had asthma, and just him just that smack talk was really really dumbed down. I didn't really like it. So that's why I put him as a D. If it was Sano-san, I'll put him as a CB range. Maybe if I had an F tier, I would have put him as a C. But since that, I'm borderline B, C. We'll see anyway. Chris, this is the Kamen Rider Raya cover. So obviously it has the Japanese on it because all the other pictures for Chris, they cut out the Sting head. So I didn't want to do that. I put Chris as a B. The only reason why I put him as a B, well, let's talk about the pros. The pros is this. I love the fact that he was a Marine who had a condition that didn't make him be able to fight, but then he wanted to serve his country, so then he fought as Commodore Sting. But then the thing that got him, but the thing is he had that whole, plot with him trying to impress his dad, or him being able to take on his own, with him being able to, confidently get rid of his asthma, with him trying to understand the whole thing because he was deceived by Xaviex. And I feel like he was the only guy who was truly known that he got deceived by Xaviex and still did the right thing. Kit, he was kind of deceived. I still think he was deceived. A lot of people don't think he was deceived. I think he was deceived by Drew. But the one thing I love about Chris is that his development was key. The sad thing is I wish he didn't get invented so early. He was only there for a good 4 episodes, 5 episodes. And the one big plot hole that always gets me confused with Chris is why did his final event on Wingnut not work? That was the one thing that got me confused ever since the episode. In Ryuki, they were able to justify it with a little blur saying, oh, you didn't have the actual tendency to vet me. You just used it as an attack, so it didn't work. But the thing that would have been cool with Chris is that maybe what they could have said is that because of his asthma, he didn't have enough energy to do the final vet or something like that. But that was just something I just didn't like about Chris's character. He was very short-lived. I wish he came back. Maybe they could have brought him in or something when everybody was coming back in the last 10 episodes. But the thing I just didn't like about Chris is that he didn't have a lot of time. I truly felt like that if he had enough time, he had the potential to definitely be A and could have been S. I don't want to say he would have guaranteed have been S, but we would have seen. The biggest problem that I have with the problem I have with Chris is that Chris never really talked to his dad again after that first episode. And I understand the show only had 40 episodes or 40 episodes in a season, whatever you guys want to call it. But I feel like just putting Chris a little bit more, even 1 or 2 more episodes would have been great. He did bring up Kit's morals, and he did become a very key character just in the development for Kit and Len, especially Len's questioning of himself being a leader. So that's why I put him also in that B spot. The only thing I just wish for Sting is that he had a good amount of influence as much as Tezuka did in Ryuki. And again, Tezuka was also overlooked in the end too. But the one thing I love about Tezuka is that he made Shinji, Kamen Rider Ryuki, or Kamen Rider Dragonite in the Japanese version or in Ryuki, he made him think about his morals a lot. And the one thing I love about Chris is that although he was a Marine, he was willing to fight for what's right, even for a planet that he didn't even know. Kit, he knew Ventara to a certain degree, but Chris, he didn't know sugar, honey, iced tea. So the fact that he was able to fight for a country he didn't know anything about, I thought it was pretty substantial, not even going to lie. But yeah, Adam, this is going to seem a little controversial, but I give Adam a B. If we were to go down the list, I would have gave it Onyx, Ubulon, Adam, Chris. No, actually, Chris, Ubulon, Adam, Kit as Onyx. And the reason why I put Adam as a B is because the reason why he's not an A or an S, he was barely brought up until episode 15, 16. That's how annoying it was, because we always wanted to know why Len acted like a jerk in front of Kit. We found out the reason why is because, Adam, he was Len's best friend. He vented, still don't understand that with the 12-year time space, but whatever. But the thing I love about Adam is that he had to make up a lot of things. He revealed his emotions to Len. He fought Len. He could have been to Len, but he realized it was the wrong thing to do. He told the whole truth. He told the truth. He revealed his guts to everybody. And when you reveal your guts like that to somebody and you realize what you've been doing was wrong, that gives you a lot of guts to be over DNC. And he's the whole reason why Kamen Dragonite even started. If it wasn't for Adam, Kamen Dragonite would have started because they wouldn't need to go to Earth and Kit would have never been a Kamen Rider. So I give him a B for that. The reason why I don't give him an A and S besides the plot line, I just feel like destroying your whole planet for a girl, Brad, that's just too much. Like, I don't know about you, but if I had the opportunity to date somebody, I'm not going to start a whole war for them. What I'm going to do is like this. Hey, girl, what's up? I'm letting you know, I'll have to go somewhere. I'll see you in 12 years. I understand that when you belong left, etc. But, like, are you really going to give out your whole planet? And I know he was fooled, but still, like, that's a little too much, G. Like, I would never be able to live with that. That's all I got to say. You know what I mean? But again, he was manipulated. We still don't know the full story. I wish we knew the full story. I know he talked about how Xaviex came in disguise, Karsh refugee, etc. But I wish there was an actual like full-on episode instead of just like flashbacks and all that. But to each their own. But I give him a B. Thrust. I give Thrust a C. He's the first C on the whole riders rankings. We went through how many riders? We went through 10 people, and he's the first, C ranking. And the reason why I give him a C ranking is because, number one, I know this sounds repetitive, but the one thing I just didn't like about the riders is that some riders, they'll be there the whole time. Like Kit was there for a good 20 episodes, and, his name's in the show, so, But Brad Bear would only be there for like 3, 4, 5. And I feel like the thing that I loved about Brad was, number one, he was very serious about his future. A lot of people, they were not thinking short term when it came to the show. Danny and Albert, they were not thinking long term. Richie, he wasn't thinking long term. Camo, he wasn't thinking long term. Brad Berry, he was actually thinking long term. He was thinking about his future. He realized how this can mess up his whole career. So that's what I loved about him. Now, do I think the footage was stupid that didn't show his face? Yep. What would have been better for me for that footage scene would have been that, and this is the one thing that gets me so confused about Xaviex. I don't know if they decided to put this in the last minute, but what would have been cool as Xaviex is that if he morphed into the people that he's trying to deceive. Like, for example, for Richie, he should have morphed into his dad and told him to get out of the house, and that would have been way more transparent than him being like, oh, your dad told you to leave. You get what I'm saying? And I know that would have been very repetitive because of the opportunities he could have, but it's just like, why did he only use that power once for Ubalon when he didn't even have the DNA to use the deck? That was another plot hole that was kind of annoying, but that's not even the point. The point is, Brad Barrett, I felt like he brought good morals. He fought for what's right. The one thing I didn't like about him, though, is that he realized that what he was doing was wrong, but he still fought for Xaviex. That was something that confused me to this day, and the fact that he was an amateur fighter, but he was able to take on Wing Knight. I know Wing Knight was having a little bit confusing role at that time because he realized after he defeated Incisor that, was this the right thing to do? And if I was in his place, if I knew that the writers were coming back and they had to go between me and that, I know that would have been a tough decision. But at the same time, I feel like Brad Barrett did not have a lot of character to provide to the show. He was a little bit too arrogant. He acted like he knew he was doing the right thing, but he didn't, because 1 second he was fighting Len, the next second said, wait, I'm not trying to get disintegrated, I'm out of here. Then 5 minutes later, he's like, oh, snap, I'm going to fight Len because I need to get my life back. I'm like, wait, but you don't want to get disintegrated, so why don't you just help Len and them at least fight Ventar? And that's why I kind of understood why Strike wanted to vent Brad, but, it didn't make sense. I think the reason why he should have vented Brad, and this is what he should have said, is because he was thinking about colluding with Drew. I think that would have been a better reason to treat him like how they treated Drew, which was a traitor. I think it would have been a way better way to incorporate it into the show instead of just saying, oh, he could have joined you guys. Like, I'm not trying to let him join with you guys. So that was that. But yeah, that's why I give him that. Danny is a C as well. The reason why I give him a C is because you don't really know a lot about him until Albert's vented. And I know that sounds a little bit too cliche. And I know that's like, oh, bro, he wanted to fight for his brother. That's so sweet. Yeah, but again, he wanted to sell it the whole world for like some bread. I don't even know how much it was. I don't know if it was 10,000, 100,000, a million. But the whole idea that he just wanted to out Ventar for bread, but then once his brother gets vented, he's like, "Oh, step! I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to avenge my brother." No, you're not. No, you're not. And this guy said Xavier would be toast right now if he was in Kit's shoes, like, or yeah, if he was in Kit's shoes, if his dad was there. Number one, you cannot even vent Xavier, bro. Stop trying to talk y'all smack. You cannot even vent one rider in the whole show. Now, granted, you were gonna vent Kit twice. The first time was because of the fact that Case got in the way. The second time was because of the fact that Strike vented you. But the one thing I hated about Axe was that he just did a full 180. I wish there was just a big development that would have made sense. Maybe him and Albert becoming way more closer. Maybe an episode explaining something in their story in which Albert defended Danny or something that allowed him to be so protective. Or maybe the fact that, maybe he should have, talked to, I don't know. Maybe he should have talked to JTC more. Maybe just not talking to him about one episode and JTC bringing up the random fact that, oh, I have a brother who's in prison. That doesn't really help. The thing you have to understand is that I feel like Danny's development was way too slow. But Hunt, he would still get a scene. I'm sorry. He had way too short development. All he did was he got mad at Adam and he bickered at Adam. And he just said, oh, I ran him with your double with Kit. Like, he had some key moments in the show, but I just felt like he could have done better. But I give Danny a C for that. Now, suit wise, the suits were amazing, and Axe is one of my favorites. But as a person, Danny was not the greatest, and that's why I give him a C. He didn't really provide any motive for actually becoming a writer after Albert was vented, and that was a big problem. So that was that. And again, there's always things behind closed doors. Maybe the reason why he wanted to be a writer is so he can actually be a real superhero. We'll see. Drew's also a C. He was just a con man. I love his suit. The problem with Drew, though, was that, again, we're not talking about Lance, so I'm sorry about that. Lance is cool. I would give Lance a B personally, because Lance was actually someone who was shown growth and remorse, and the fact that he actually had some funny jokes along the way. But Drew was just a very serious guy. He was always just trying to do what's in his favor. He even said the only reason why he wanted to be, he was one of the few writers. I think it was only him and JTC that knew all of ZBX's intentions. They knew everything that he was going to do. And for that, and to still be a writer, and number two, not even have a completely 100% like dignity for what you're doing, that's a problem. Because you got to remember, this guy's a con man. So it's like, that's just something that I feel like that was a big. That's like you're like, okay, this guy's gonna be bad when he's a flippin' con man, and as a con man, he just does whatever's in his interest. And I understand that because that's the whole purpose of being a con man. You're only going to do what's beneficial for you. But the thing that I don't understand to this day is why was he so surprised when he got vented? It's like you decided to betray ZVX and you decided to betray Kit and all that stuff. What he should have done was he should have told Kit the truth. He should have told him everything. And then maybe Kit would have accepted it. And that's what I thought was cool. Now, granted, I wish he was actually there to the end and maybe get vented near the end, because I thought the one thing that would have been cool was that if he became good. But again, he had such short development. A second thing that I feel like that was kind of weird with Drew is why would ZBX need Drew and JTC at the same time? That was something that confused me. But to each their own. Comment down below what you guys think. But I just thought that was very crazy. Like, Drew just being a short-lived character. I feel like he had a lot of potential, to be honest. And that's the one thing I didn't like about him. He wasted a whole bunch of potential by just explaining, I'm going to do what I want to do in my favor. And it's sad, but it's true. So, yeah. The last two people that we have today are Len and Wrath. Now, Len is a very interesting cookie. He's S, hands down. The reason why I put him at S, number one, his development from becoming a guy who's a complete lone wolf to a guy who became a very well team leader. He had to face the deal that he knew he was going to have to vent riders from the beginning, from the get-go, and he had to do it. A couple of plot holes with Len. Number one, out of all places, how come he coincidentally came into California where he met Kit? That's obviously plot, but etc. And two, if he was barely conscious when Case got him out, how was he able to, do all the things that he did? Maybe, I don't know, they didn't explain this in the show, but maybe there was a gap between when he was released and maybe when he was in episode 1. That would have been a great, backstory, but etc. And why do people call Xaviex General Xaviex? That's the one thing that got me confused too, because He started calling him Xaviex, General Xaviex, etc. I'm like, wait, he's a general, so there's somebody above him that's trying to do this. You know what I mean? But that was just something that confused me. But we straight up in here. You know, he's very developmental. He had to get over he had to get over his hatred or disappointment of Adam to accept Kit as the official Kamen Rider. He had to convince Case as well that Kit was a true Kamen Rider, and he basically had to do everything that was right. Granted, the only flaw I have in Len, and this is gonna seem like a little weird, but the one thing I just didn't like about Len is that he was too cold. But I understand why he was too cold, because he doesn't understand the Ventar and the Earth customs, if that makes sense. Like, for example, some things he just said, but at the, like, you know, for example, like, I'm sorry, Kit, there's something I can do. Just in the middle of Kit speaking, like, you could have just brought him up as a conversation or something, or a key detail. But I loved his development, especially after Chris was vented. He had to realize that, you know, this is not a joke. This is a war, everything, you know? And the one thing I love about Len to this day is that although he was the last rider to survive, like kind of like how he was the only rider in the beginning, he was the last one to survive after everyone was vented. The one thing I loved about Len was the fact that he forgave Adam in the end. I felt like that was a very big thing. And then the small jokes like, oh, I broke her camera to Maya, blah, blah, blah. But I felt like it was very, you know, self-explanatory why he was an S tier. Last but not least, Wrath. Now, I'm going to do Wrath in two ways. Number one, I'm going to do it with him in Xaviex. And number two, I'm going to be doing him on his own. Now, this is self-explanatory. Wrath on his own was deep. I'm not trying to sound rude. It's self-explanatory. He literally was deprived of his energy, so Xaviex used him as a puppet, which I thought was smart, which I thought was genius, but the one thing is that he didn't have any character development. There was literally no purpose. He was just basically a walking corpse. Now, granted, if he was with Xaviex, I would say he's a B. And the reason why I would put him as a B with Xaviex is because number one, the suit was gorgeous. He was gold. Number two, I like the fact that he was Len's mentor. They should have elaborated more on that. They should maybe not like a full episode, but maybe like a 10-minute clip. Or something, not maybe 10-minute clip, like a 5-minute clip expressing it, like why Len was so hard fighting Xaviex. And the third thing is that the fact that the key thing that I love about Xaviex using Wrath is that he brought out Wrath's rageful side. And what I mean by that is this. The Ventara commoners are known to protect the love enemy, like loves. They're supposed to love their Ventarans. They're supposed to fight for justice, etc. But when you have one of the most OP riders in both Dragon Knight and Ryuki go rogue and go evil, he showed his true intentions. He vented Kit Taylor without any remorse. He number one, the only rider he vented was Kit Taylor. That's one. But the way how he just fought against all the riders, he didn't care. He did all these things that, you know, that was crazy. That was insane. As Commander Wrath, you know, being able to destroy Len, all like that. And I still don't get the teleportation thing. You know, that was something that was in Ryuki. But, you know, that was just something I thought was cool. And the key thing that I loved about Wrath and Xaviex is that Xaviex didn't care about Wrath. He had him vented because he's like, I don't need you anymore. You know, I'm going to use all your life energy so you'll get vented. And that's very sad. So, yeah. I know this is kind of late, so I'm going to stop the screen share. I'm going to keep this up all night. And tomorrow, I'm going to just do a refresh. I'm going to see if I can do another video around 9 p.m. tomorrow because I know it's kind of late. But let me just, you know, exit out. But I hope you guys enjoy it. These is my final viewing of all the riders. So if you guys just want to recap, you know, if you guys want to take a screenshot for Rider Legacy, Kit, and this is all based off character development too. Like, this is not based off designs. This is not based off cards. But S tier, Kit and Len. A tier, JTC and Case. B tier, Ubilon, Kit as Onyx, Chris and Adam. C tier, Thrust, Axe and Torque, or Drew, Danny, and Brad. And then D tier was Grant, Richie, Albert, and Vic. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If not, I wish you guys the best. Have a nice day. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you guys tomorrow, and peace.